All right, guys, I'm really excited about today's conversation. I'm here with Kameron and Luke from Goosehead Insurance. And the thing I love about these guys here is that they're just consummate professionals focused on serving clients at a really high level. So, guys, thanks so much for being here with us
Yeah,
today.
man, thank you.
Cool. So, Kameron, I know you, I've known you for about 3 years now. You were part of the original Chucktown crew. Tell us a little bit about your experience with Chucktown Homes, how you kind of started and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, that's a great question. So originally, back in the day, I was an independent agent. Ended up kind of like most real estate agents who are independent, just didn't have lead flow. So I immediately jumped in with Chucktown. That was life-changing. And then fast forward a couple of years, we actually jumped into the insurance business. So here we are.
Yeah. So that's a really cool thing about Chucktown Homes is that we're growing, which is creating opportunities not only on the real estate side, but in some ancillary businesses like insurance. So, Kameron, tell us real quick why that made sense for you to go from a team agent where you were pretty successful and jump into insurance. Why did that make sense for you?
Well, I think when you're in business with Donald and Jeremy, you kind of see the volume that they do, and it's kind of a no-brainer. So kind of like a lot of agents want to move up to the assistant team leads, be team leads, all that fun stuff. This was a different avenue. I mean, it was one of those to where I was going to be the go-to guy for all insurance from 6, 7 offices, 7 at this point, and it was a no-brainer.
So, Kameron, talk to us a little bit about why this partnership makes sense, right? Are clients and customers expecting kind of a one-stop shop? Is that helpful for them now? Like, what's been your experience with that?
I think you nailed it. I think it works out really well for the real estate agent and the client. So kind of like you mentioned, the client really wants a one-stop shop. They're coming to a realtor for the professional input across the board. Who's the go-to attorney? Who's the go-to lender? Who's the go-to insurance person? On the real estate side, it allows you to build your sphere of influence. You're always going to be top of mind because you're going to be the first person who can answer who's the electrician, who's the plumber, who to go to for all of those. So on the real estate side, I think it really helps. And then on the client or the buyer side, it makes life easy. When everybody works together, it's a little community. We know how people communicate. We know how to get in touch with everybody. There's also a chance where they're going to answer my phone call. They might be busy, but they're going to send me a text, and it's going to be a seamless transition through that process to where there's no roadblocks, and it makes it easy.
Yeah. So, Luke, you're brand new to the flock, right? Just joined Goosehead, right? Why did Goosehead make sense to you? Why did this opportunity look appealing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was coming from a job where it was a lot of hours and not a lot of room for upward mobility. And really, I got in contact with Goosehead. They kind of talked about some of the upper mobility that this role offered and being able to kind of build my own client base. Yeah. And so I was really excited about it, but I was kind of still on the edge until I met with Jeremy. And I was like, this is somebody that I want to work with. I feel like the culture that at least that he's telling me about is something I'm really interested in. Then when I got to go meet with Kameron and go meet with Donald, I was really realizing, okay, like this is something that I need to be a part of. The leadership here is just
so let's open that up a little bit because everybody that I talk to who fall under Jeremy and Donald's wing, and I'm one of those people, right? The common thing that I always hear is like, I just want to be in their world, right? Like they're doing something different. They're behaving in a different way. I want to be part of their world. What was that for you, Kameron?
They're animals.
Yeah.
And they're great at what they do. When it comes to doing things at a high level, both of them excel at that. And it's one of those things to where iron sharpens iron. So you want to be around people who are going to make you better. And honestly, when you work with somebody, you want to look at them and be like, I want to be in your position. I want to build something similar to what you've done. And that's kind of my thought process, right? Yeah. They're two studs. I want to be just like those.
Yeah, I love that. So, Kameron, do you only work with Chucktown Homes clients?
No. So we work with a variety of people. At the end of the day, we've got multiple real estate teams that send us business. We have lenders, probably 15 or 20 lenders who send us stuff. And then, of course, individual agents across the board. Even without us knowing, I got a couple of leads over the weekend. Never talk to these clients. It's just word of mouth. Yeah. Those are the go-to people. Get connected with them. They're going to make your life easy. And that's what we try to do.
So y'all talk about this for me. So Of course, we always encourage our clients to talk to multiple people in every single aspect when we refer them, right? Whether it's lenders, attorneys, home inspectors, insurance people, right? Because having choices is so important. We need to make sure we're doing the right things for our clients 100% of the time. Luke, tell me why Goosehead Insurance makes sense for most clients.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that we're a broker. And so we're able to shop across dozens of carriers to make sure that you're getting the most competitive price. And I think too, I mean, I know that there's the way that Kameron has just kind of created the culture on our team. The idea is if we see someone else that has the same or better coverages for a better price, we're going to tell you to go with them. And that's one of the things that we really, as people refer to us and as we're just building relationships with our referral partners, we tell them like, listen, we're going to educate your clients. Yeah. And whether or not they go with us, like we want them to leave better off than when they came to us. And most of the time, that's going to be with the best price and the best coverages. Here and there, it's not going to be the best fit, but they're going to leave knowing more about insurance than when they started.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is that service outweighs sales every day, right? As long as you're serving people at a high at a high level, you're winning. So I love that. Kameron, I'm a client looking to purchase a house. I'm interviewing 2 or 3 homeowners insurance agents. What should I be asking them?
It's a great question. I think it really boils down to what platform they're with. And then, of course, it's going to be more the details of the house. It's going to be based off your insurance score. It's going to be based off the particular house that you're looking at, because we can look at one house and we can look at the neighboring house, and the difference between those two can be substantial. So I think instead of asking the insurance agent some of those key questions, it really comes down to what you're looking for. There's a lot of times we're running into issues with older roofs. You know, is that something that you want to use as far as a higher premium, less coverage, or is that something that you want to use as a negotiation tactic to get a new roof? So I think the things that they should be asking are, one, how does that factor in, right? Are we going to have issues with plumbing? Are we going to have issues with the roof? Are we going to have issues with HVAC units, hot water heaters, things like that? Build materials. There are certain carriers that just want nothing to do with stucco or certain things like that. So those are all going to be house dependent, but it's going to be very important to ask them. And then I think at the end of the day, it's also going to be how they wrote the policy. Is it written with replacement cost instead of actual cash value? We could dive into that really, really deep, but actual cash value is going to factor in depreciation. I don't want to say they're going to pay pennies on the dollar, but they pay you a very small amount of what it's going to cost to replace that property. So we've seen a lot of low quotes, kind of going back to what he said. We're always going to do the best thing for our clients. We might not be that best person, but we're going to make sure that they understand. And we see really low quotes. A lot of those come back with replacement cost not replacement cost, actual cash value on personal property. And they see this really attractive low premium, but in reality, they're not insured properly. And that's kind of our goal, right? We're going to win some, we're going to lose some, but at the end of the day, those people are going to walk away knowing what they have. All
right, Luke, half of what he just said to me was Spanish, right? Don't understand it all. And most clients won't either. How do you break that down to layman's terms so it's more approachable? How do you do that with clients? How do you make them feel okay with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So we take the time with them is the biggest thing. So we're going to go through line by line with each coverage, and we're going to give examples. I think Cameron's great at telling stories. And so what we'll do is we both have some like classic examples that we both know of that we've both seen that we'll just go through line by line and go, here's why this type of water damage protection is important. And obviously the risk, whether or not they decide to insure, that's up to them. But being able to go through and just each cover and go, this is what this actually means. Yeah. Here's the story of, and keep it brief, but really make sure that they're educated on it with just really clear examples.
Yeah. So Kameron, you actually have a unique perspective on this, right? So being a licensed real estate agent for years and then pivoting into insurance, you kind of have a unique look at how you can help real estate agents outside of just providing great coverage for clients. So talk to the real estate agents out there. How can they be utilizing you during negotiations or working with clients when they first start?
That's a great question. So there's a lot of people that kind of like you said, I mean, on the insurance side, they don't know, right? Insurance is all they've ever known. But doing that transition, it allowed me to see things that we're going to run into on the real estate side. Those are going to be things like roofs, polybutylene piping, some pretty big hitters on the insurance side. You know, if you have polybutylene piping, there's a very high chance that you're not going to have water coverage. So if a pipe burst, you're going to have to fix that out of pocket. So we've actually been able to come in and between knowledgeable real estate agents and ourselves, we've been able to negotiate replumbing houses. We've been able to negotiate brand new roofs. We've been able to negotiate repairs that I would say the majority of insurance agents aren't even going to think about because it's not in their wheelhouse. They just want to get the policy sold. They couldn't care less if it gets kicked back. They just want that policy on the board today.
Yeah, 100%. So guys, all I know is that when I dealt with clients, I mean, it's been a few years since I've had to work with a client. They only care about the lowest deductible and the lowest monthly cost, right? Luke, tell us some other things that people should be looking at when they're shopping for insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a big thing is going to be your very first coverage on your policy, which is coverage A. That's basically showing, do you have enough to actually replace your house? And what we see is some people don't. They get quotes from people where they are misrepresenting the interior of the house or the exterior of the house. And they're not really insured to be able to, like based on the most accurate data we have on today's material prices and labor prices, they're not insured to actually be able to replace their house to the same standard. They're going to have to come out of pocket if they want it to be. For sure. So I think that's one of the biggest things because that's going to massively affect your premium. Aside from that, I'd say there's additional coverages like extra water coverages, things like making sure your appliances are covered in lightning strikes. These kinds of things are things you want to make sure are added onto your policy and that you actually understand what is really covered.
Yeah. Kameron, so as a real estate agent, if somebody comes to me and says, Brandon, should I get flood insurance on this house? My answer is like, hey, if it makes you sleep better at night, you probably should just go ahead and do it, right? When a client has those kind of questions for you, how do you guide them through that, whether or not they need that kind of coverage?
At the end of the day, we're going to present the facts, right? Here's what flood zone you're in. Here's what that looks like as far as premium costs. I'll give you a quick story. Luke said I love stories. We closed on a house. A client of mine closed on a house about 6 months ago. He did not want to bind flood. Basically, if you're in an X flood zone, you have to pay for flood insurance out of pocket. They do not escrow that. So he didn't want to have that out of pocket expense. But it kept gnawing at him, right? And that's kind of what we tell people. Like, hey, get in the house, feel it out. We can go from there. So it kept gnawing at him. Every month he would reach out, but we just never connected. Every single time I would be like, hey, I'm free, or I would give him a call. He did not respond. Well, coincidentally enough, at the beginning of this month, he finally reached out and he was like, I've got payment. Let's go. Beautiful. So we took payment. There is a waiting period, which is key on flood. There is going to be a 10 to a 30-day waiting period. And the reason that they do that is too many people took advantage. So they were trying to get it right before a storm or right before some event. So they've got the waiting period. And he actually called me on the 22nd, so last Friday. His house was flooding. Yep. He's in an X flood zone. There is no risk, quote unquote, per FEMA that house should flood. And coincidentally enough, his house is getting flooded from the rear and the front. And the craziest part about that, his flood insurance waiting period had ended that day. So his very first effective date was the date that his house flooded. So at the end of the day, we're always going to present options. We're always going to present facts. Again, we can't force people to do certain things. They're going to want to do what they do, but they're going to know what they should have. And if they opt out of it, that's their prerogative. But again, they're going to know.
Yeah. And right now in Charleston, you're from Charleston, there's crazy flooding going on down there, right? So to me, I'm just so risk adverse. I'm thinking to myself like, oh my gosh, just please get the flood insurance. It'll save you thousands, right? Kameron, one final word here, man. The number one piece of advice you could give to a real estate agent, and I'm thinking as a real estate, leader, what's that number one thing that you could tell a real estate agent when guiding their client and choosing the right homeowners insurance partner?
I think you want somebody for all houses, right? It's going to be one of those things when we were looking at franchises, Goosehead made the most sense because we have something for everybody. And you'll quickly run into certain people can do brand new builds, no problem. They can't do the 1980s houses. They can't do the 1800 houses, especially coming from Charleston. We've got those old homes. Yeah. So being able to be partnered with one person who can literally check off every single thing from the trailer in the mountains to the $7 million beachfront property, that's what you want. Because otherwise there's no point in connecting with them because they're going to have lapses or there's going to be gaps and you don't want that. You want it to be a seamless, smooth transition, and that's what we're here for. Yeah.
It's just going back to being the Amazon of insurance, right?
Held it.
Consumers right now just want a one-stop shop for everything. They don't want to talk to 30 different people about 3 different things. They just want that one-stop shop, and it sounds like that's what you guys offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Cameron, we've all heard the saying, bundle and save more, right? So do you guys offer more than just homeowners insurance? And if so, what's the benefit of bundling it, and how does that work?
Yeah, 100%. So one, we definitely offer a bundle. The great part about Goosehead, the way that it works is we are partnered with so many different carriers that we're able, your bundle's normally going to be something that you hear about State Farm, right? Everything's under one carrier. We actually make life a little bit better because we're able to pick and choose. So we can find the best homeowners, and it could be with carrier X, and then we can find the auto with carrier Y and combine those. So they get the benefit of the bundle. Everything is in-house, so they're always going to be able to call me or our service department or Luke, make sure that everything is just that community feel, right? You never want to feel like you're on a call center. So anyway, we're able to bundle, we can pick and choose, and then as far as bundling goes, we can even go one step further and we can group everything that you have. So we can do homeowners, auto, jewelry, we can do flood, we can dive into term life insurance. I mean, we're able to touch on every single thing that you or your clients might be interested in and make sure you're protected.
Yeah. So it goes just back to being, again, that one-stop shop, umbrella policies, jewelry. Like recently I insured my wife's wedding ring with you guys, right? So just having that protection is really important. Great. Kameron, Luke, thank you so much for being with me today. Guys, if you need homeowners insurance, I use them personally. Saved about $2,000 a year just by getting a real honest quote. I'll plug you one more time. How often should I be shopping for homeowners insurance?
So the great part about us is we're going to reshop once a year, right? When it comes to renewals, we're always going to double check, make sure that you're still with the best person. A lot of people kind of set it and forget it, that old Ronco commercial.
Yep.
They go 5-10 years without thinking about it. We do it on the back end. We check it, make sure you're still with the best person. So you don't have to reshop it. We handle all of that.
Yep. So guys, I personally use Goosehead Insurance. I would tell you, do your due diligence, talk to multiple people, but these guys should definitely in your top 3. Guys, I'm grateful for you. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Cool.